Welcome to another episode of Little Talks, your weekly dose of marketing news and insights from Littlefield Agency.
Welcome to another episode of Little Talks with Littlefield Agency. I am Sam Littlefield. With me is my boy, Roop. Roop, there he is, man. It's good to be back. I'm fresh off a nice vacation. What I'd call a disconnecting vacation. I checked email in the morning, which I guess it's not totally disconnected, making sure there's no fires. And then I was literally on the beach and in a swimming pool and chasing around toddlers.
Were there any fires?
There were no fires.
We kept it locked down for you, buddy.
Hoping not. Yeah, right. No, you guys did great. And no, it was a very nice recharge before the hustle and bustle of back to school.
Speaking of back to school or starting school,
Matt Littlefield started school.
Matt Littlefield started school.
It was so cute, y'all. He's been we have a nanny at home, and he has been just dying to go to what he calls big boy school, probably since May. And when we go to church on Sundays, he always sees his big boy school because it's connected to the church, and he's just so excited. He started camp in the summer. It was just 2-3 days a week, and it was in July. But now he's fully integrated. He wears a uniform. He goes to a Catholic school. And he was just so pumped yesterday. He just comes running out of our garage, and he's screaming, and he's so excited. And we drop him off, and I was worried about drop off, right? Thinking, okay, he's so excited, but then we get to the door, is he going to cry? Is he going to say, Mommy and Daddy, please don't leave? Literally gave us both hugs, kissed his mom, and beelined into the classroom.
Yeah. So end of the day, he's joined a fraternity. He's already on the intramurals teams. He's the full school experience.
One is cute. So I actually picked him up yesterday. I wanted to pick him up on his first day of school. So get over there. They dismiss, and they've got all the kids really perfectly lined up on a line in the gym.
On day one.
Yeah, day one's early. Okay, go teachers though. And Matt's crisscross applesauce, and he goes, Daddy, I had the best day. Let's get out of here. And I was like, that's awesome, buddy. So we went and got a treat, and I dropped him off at home, came back to work. But I don't know, it was kind of an emotional day in the sense of I feel like he really grew up yesterday.
Yeah.
And he showed us all of his quote unquote homework in his folder. And it was just really cool. We're literally sitting I took a picture. We're all on the ground as a family in the laundry room. And he's showing us, this is my prayer book, and this is my calendar. It was awesome.
Does he know how to read a calendar?
He just knows it's a calendar.
Okay.
But he kept on talking about the line, so I was like, okay, you got something going on. So anyway, it was a holy moment yesterday. I felt bad for his little sister. They've never been apart. They're always together. She was pissed. But she's doing better this morning. So we got Matt in school. We got some cool just shout-outs today. H.E. Williams, we were in Missouri last week. We went back to Missouri this week on Thursday. It'll be great. We have Mike from Grasshopper here tomorrow for our full kind of HubSpot Mike session day, which is wonderful.
Yep.
We have Sean from Ditch Witch wrapping up season 1 of Beyond the Moon. Be on the lookout. Those episodes are going to go live here, probably Brandon when?
We think it'll be in September. And
that makes sense.
We've cut I'd say 90% of the first 2 episodes, and it's good.
And Brandon, you've been editing away. Yeah, I've seen a lot of Ditch Witch content.
He's sad he's in here recording this right now. He'd rather be editing.
Yeah, especially with our prelim conversation. Poor Brandon. Anyway, got a lot of good stuff. Like I said, I always call it the hustle and bustle of back to school. We do have a question for our listeners. What is your least favorite month? Because Claude and Roop hate August, and I love August.
It's so hot. How could anyone love August?
See, I think it's back to school starting, getting the rhythm. The holidays are coming. Claude, thoughts?
I'm not in school. And I have nobody near me that's in school.
That's fair.
Okay. Touche.
That's fair.
1, Claudia 1, Sam 0. I hate January. I think January sucks. It's after the holidays. It's cold.
It's gross.
Cold.
Yeah.
It's a long
agree.
month.
Yeah.
All 31 days. And then you go in February, it's a short month.
Yeah.
Then
Which is
March,
nice.
spring. And then
Yes.
you get it up for summer. So
And my birthday and Roop's birthday in March.
March.
and Claude and Matt share a birthday.
Oh, yeah, we do. The best month.
Can I say something else about August that you just mentioned that has always bothered me?
What's that?
Growing up, I always associated back to school with September.
Were you an after Labor Day kid?
I think I might have been. And so it was always September, back to school, leaves, and all this kind of stuff. And then somewhere they screwed us and moved it up into August.
I was always August.
You were always
Claude
August.
Was always
Yeah,
August.
Always August.
That always gets me when they're like, oh, back to school is in August. I'm like, no, it's September.
Yeah, at one point we were like August 6th or 7th. Then, yeah, I was not
I
happy
remember
with that.
starting
You remember
school
that?
like super
And then
early
they
in
pushed it back
August.
to mid-August,
Yeah, I don't
which
care for
is much better.
That's to give him like a fall break and a spring break and
Yeah.
a winter break, more breaks. I see.
And then there's some like noon Fridays and stuff. Anyway, we'd love to hear from you on what your least favorite month is. While we're at it, what's our favorite month, Claude?
March or October.
Okay.
October straight up.
Okay. I love November. Roop thought mine was December, but you're gearing up for the holidays. There's that crisp weather. See, sometimes there's like 85, 90-degree days in early October, and I don't like that.
That's true.
But it's like a dry
It's a dry heat.
And with the breeze, and then there's the leaves falling. It's too good.
Yep.
All right. 2 Octobers and a November. Brandon, favorite month?
He said yes.
He just said yes. Brandon does speak, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. So.
Edits it out.
We've got a nice topic today. Thank you, John Mosh from Viridian Homes in Wisconsin.
And thanks for your patience. He turned this in like 2
like a
months
month ago. Yeah, maybe 6 weeks ago. Johnny Mosh is a beloved friend of the agency. He is an avid listener, usually the first person to listen to our podcast to get notified via HubSpot that John is on our on said podcast page. John wanted to specifically hear, he was fresh off a conference, and kind of the overall state of artificial intelligence. Mm-hmm. How are we using it? We're not going to make really any predictions in the future today, but just kind of here's things we're going to focus on Apple and Google, and then we're going to get into just kind of how the agency is using it. So topic number 1, Claude. And the only topic. I keep saying topic number 1. I'm so sorry, guys.
It's a habit as we've developed.
So we call it the AI boom of 2023, right? That's all anybody could talk about. Primarily ChatGPT.
Yeah, that led the way.
That led the way. That paved the way. And let's call it the average human, the way that they were using ChatGPT is write me a 1,000-word paper and with this sort of tone and blah, 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 all this stuff, right? Write me a poem, write me a birthday poem for Claude on March 19th.
Write an email for me.
Create a resume for me.
Yeah.
Very, very, very what we call simple prompts. Well, so much has happened. You see that?
Yeah.
Got it. That's pretty cool.
That was great.
He just dropped and caught his pen and was impressed.
But what we're saying here is AI is maturing. It's moving beyond the hype. There's so many companies besides ChatGPT that have implemented artificial intelligence within their own platforms, streamlining things for us. So Roop's going to talk kind of an Apple, Google overview, and then we're just going to give you just some high-level things of how our agency on a day-to-day uses AI.
Yeah, and but I was going to say this too. Like, so ChatGPT led the way, and then all of a sudden, everybody else has AI, which is kind of weird, right? Like, have you been sitting on it all this time and just not releasing it, or like what?
It was a fast follow.
It was a very fast follow.
Extremely fast follow.
And some folks would argue that, a company like Apple, and we've talked about this, a lot of Alexa with Amazon, like a lot of things have a version of what you might consider AI kind of already there. So in some cases, like Apple's, it is laying a true AI concept on top of something that exists. So let's talk about Apple first.
Okay.
This has been a couple of months ago, and I think we're about a month or two away from this iOS releasing.
I think about a month. It's usually September.
The people in the beta are playing with it right now. I stopped getting into the beta programs about 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah,
it's not your cup of tea anymore, huh?
It's just too much work.
You're beyond it.
Yeah, I'll wait. But anyhow, the AI for Apple, which is called, I believe it's just called Apple AI. It's a very original name. They're kind of taking the same stance with it that they've taken with everything else, like email and your web browsing and things like that. And they're focusing on privacy and data security in AI, which we've talked a lot about. So when you're using AI for your business, if you're a B2B business and you're using AI, sometimes you might need to dump what's called sensitive information in there to get data back out. Like if you've got a spreadsheet of some, maybe we don't do this, but let's say you had a spreadsheet of like profits or client list or something like that, and you need to feed it into AI to get something back out of it. Once you fed it into AI, there's a concept, I think, that
it was out there.
It's out there, right?
Yeah,
and that could be used for other purposes. So ChatGPT's put some guardrails around this where you can have like a business account that we use that kind of walls that stuff off.
$20 a month.
It's worth it.
Yep.
Apple's also kind of concerned about that as well. I don't know enough into how they're blocking or doing that, but they claim they are. Their AI models will run directly in devices like iPhones and Macs, so you don't really have to like think about. They're trying to bake it in more. So like right now, if I want to go to ChatGPT on my phone, I have to go find the app and open it up, and I can read into it or talk into it or whatever. type into it, not read. I read what it tells me. But for Apple, they're laying it on, and Google as well, they're trying to lay it on top of existing products.
Yes.
So it'll be an enhancement as part of, I believe, your email capabilities. So like if you have a bunch of unread emails, you might be able to use Apple's AI to say, hey, summarize these for me. Which ones do I need to reply to? Which are urgent? Things like that.
Yep.
So ways that kind of affect your everyday use, like the user, basically. That's really what Apple's kind of more focused on here.
And you look at so it's interesting that you mentioned the user. Apple has always been about a very simplified UX, right? Very easy. Now, what is this next, especially with the state of AI? And Google, the email is a fantastic example. I look at when you search something in Google, right? You still have Google search, but you now have that AI overview at the top.
Yeah.
Which do you tap into that? Like, is that helpful for you?
I use it a lot, but I kind of more out of curiosity about what road is it leading me down. If there's 4 or 5 steps, usually the 5th one's kind of questionable sometimes. So I mean, it's AI.
I always,
but it's usable.
And I'd be interested to hear from you all from a listener standpoint. I always read it, but I always go to the links that I trust.
Yeah.
Click through, read.
down
Like
below.
I don't take that as gospel, which that's the tricky part, right? Like you talk about the security and the data protection.
The same as last year, trust is still everything for AI.
Yeah.
And I will say something Google does well in that search is they give you the sources for their response kind of right underneath it in those smaller boxes. So you can kind of look right underneath and say, well, this is where it got everything that it's giving me the answer for. So I can dig deeper in if I need to verify it. So that's good. Sticking with Apple here for a minute, and we'll go to Google. They're apparently adding this also to Siri. So it'll be an update where you can have generative capabilities.
September, next month.
You can just say, hey, Siri, write an email, write a short story, help me create a video script or whatever. Like you'll use Siri kind of more to do that. The thing that I think is bananas about this is most people hate Siri. Like it's infamously,
I get angry with Siri.
It's infamously terrible.
It's never really been a good user experience for a company that specializes on user experience.
So I'm kind of shocked that they're still all in on it and they didn't just completely kill Siri and relaunch it as a brand new AI, which is really still Siri.
That'd be genius.
Yeah,
you might be ahead of the game here.
I would have done that. But they're saying they're giving Siri AI capabilities, which I don't know how much I love that.
Well, and I read this this is a total side note that has to do with Amazon. I read something recently that was, Alexa was all the rage or rave. Rave?
It's rage, I think.
Rage.
Young person, is it rage or rave?
All the rave?
All the rave.
Yeah, rave. Like
Yeah,
rave. Hey,
it's
excitement.
rave.
Yeah, it's rave.
When you're 40 and over, it's rage.
Yeah,
Brandon
and
says
angry.
yes.
But
Brandon says
anyway,
yes.
people aren't using Alexa for the sense of like asking questions, et cetera, which Alexa is AI. Alexa, set a timer for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's this whole thing on like, do they continue producing these very expensive timers? We have a Google Home, and we literally say, "Hey, set your timer for 5 minutes," and that's the only thing we use it for.
So
it's really interesting.
Do you use an alarm clock?
On my phone.
Correct.
Yeah.
Alarm clocks are dead.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
If
There's
you're in
all kinds
if
of
you're in
things like
business,
that.
It's
Yeah.
insane. So anyway, total aside.
But yeah,
there,
as AI gets baked further into devices,
companies are gonna have to reimagine how they.
Devices like our phones and our computers we either carry with us or in front of us most of the day. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff that kind of gets lost.
So let's chat Google.
So Google's had a couple different iterations of AI in the past year. They had Bard. I think Bard was theirs. There's Bard Microsoft. And Bard was Google. Kind of right out of the gate. And it was basically ChatGPT. They've since re-released a thing called Gemini. And I don't know if anyone's used Gemini, if you're still hanging around ChatGPT. I'm bouncing between the two to see if I get what the results are between them. And quite honestly, Gemini is way better.
Yeah.
Like it gives really, really, really tight, good answers on the exact same prompt. The thing I can't do in Gemini yet that I can do in ChatGPT is I can't upload a PDF or a spreadsheet or an image or anything like that. It's coming, but I can't do that yet. I'm still using ChatGPT for that kind of functionality, and especially the whole thing about privacy. Gemini's still pretty open right now.
Well, and you bring up a good point. I like the idea of bouncing through different platforms, and we do this all the time at the agency. We're testing new platforms. Chris should be on this freaking podcast right now.
He'll
Chris
never be on. He'll never be on this podcast.
But looking through, look at the source of information that they give you, the details, the abilities. Everyone's enhancing every day. But it's a great point, Roop, because I'm always bouncing through different platforms.
Yeah, and there's different ones for different needs, and you kind of get used to using one over another. It's like streaming services. Most of them have something you're going to want to watch, but I still subscribe to like 9. So
wow.
I think it's like 7 for real.
Oh my God, Rocco would pass out.
I know.
He actually would.
I know. I need to wean myself off.
So
No one needs Paramount Plus.
AI is getting smarter. Yes, right. AI is getting smarter. It's always changing. That's the world that we live in as marketers. How are we? How are clients? How are you, listeners, using artificial intelligence? Trent at Grasshopper, I'm not going to get into the details, uses it in an absolutely phenomenal way. The way that he propagates some information and data, it's really, really cool. He showed me in Kansas probably about a year ago. And then I think about our agency, right? Just like how I'm using I use it a ton on the email front. Like, again, we've talked about this in previous episodes, efficiencies. Mm-hmm. I'm always using artificial intelligence to create more efficiencies in my day. I'm always checking it. I'd say the time that I'm using it, I'm feeding it very, what I would call sophisticated prompts, just in the sense of getting good information. Mm-hmm. Are you using other tech tools? You and Chris, as you're collaborating. I don't want you to give away any secret sauce.
We do have some secret sauces coming up that internally will be great, but we don't really want to share. But I will tell you some applications I've used it for in the last few weeks that are different than
and for our
usual.
listeners that might help them in their day-to-day.
Sure. So on ChatGPT in particular, and I think I don't know if it's only Model 4 and up or if it's available across the board. I'm unsure. I always deal with the top model. You ever get a PDF that you like need to somehow put into an email or into a Word document, or maybe it has a table on it? Like you've got some sort of specs document, you download it as a PDF, but you need to manipulate it in some way, or you need to put it into a spreadsheet. Well, PDFs are pretty flat. You can't really copy and tables in particular. You can't really copy and paste very reliably. I've been using in those situations where I need to translate a table. Say you've got 8 columns and 500 rows even. That's a lot. I'm not typing all that out. I'll dump that into ChatGPT and say, hey, I'll upload the PDF and say, hey, on pages 3 and 4, there's a table.
Beautiful.
Create a CSV file for me to download, or just I can connect it to my Google Sheets and just drop it over in my Google Sheet. And it's awesome. Knocks that out in a few seconds. We've had to use
something that would historically take you.
I wouldn't even do it.
Yeah.
I'd be like, there's got to be another options or something other than this PDF.
Yeah.
Now the PDFs are fine. Or if I'm needing to use that in like an email, like I need to present something in a HTML table in an email, I can drop that PDF in, have it kick out the HTML very clean for me with the styles in line, which is what you need for email. Then I dump that into the editor and I move on. That's something else that manually would have taken, 10, 15 minutes maybe, but now it's taken about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So like there's all these kind of ways when you start thinking about things that you don't like to, it's the same as it's been, the things you don't like to do or that are kind of repetitious or you dread in your daily work life. There's probably an AI solution for it. Even if AI isn't going to kick out your final file, your final result, it can guide you and get you to think about how you tackle it in ways that you may not have yet. I'll give you one more.
Yeah, please.
I don't know anything about the Python language.
Yep.
Chris is great at it. I found out he's kind of cheating the way I'm about to tell you, but
not cheating.
he's trying. But Python is kind of a complex. Most people probably listening to this are like, "What is Python?" Well, it's a programming language, and it
very sophisticated.
I think very sophisticated, and it does things. So I asked ChatGPT how I would run a process about a month or two ago, and it couldn't do it. It wouldn't do it for me, but it said, hey, we can write you a Python script and tell you where to put that Python script and how to call it from a terminal. I'm like, a terminal?
Awesome.
What is that? It explains all of it. It was about 8 steps, and it completely worked. I had to reiterate it maybe twice and then tell it, hey, on this step, this part didn't work. And it says, oh, I'm sorry, try this instead. I just learned a language that I didn't learn anything. I just kind of copied and pasted. But I'm now speaking a language and using a language to implement some functionality on some repetitious chores that before, again, would have taken me several hours. Now I let this Python script run. It knocks it out in a few minutes.
That's amazing.
So like if you can just kind of think about it beyond writing emails or writing papers, which of course it does pretty well, but like things you need to have happen or processes that you kind of dread. If you're one of those folks that's dealing with a lot of spreadsheets like our media department analytics are, there's all kinds of stuff you can do with it.
Yeah, and there's we talk about ChatGPT. Look into custom GPTs. That's something that we've really made strides on in the last 6 months. Let me give you an example. I write proposals all the time for new business. And sometimes I'm like, oh, shoot, I left out this assumption or I left out this key piece of something that really should have been mentioned, before they sign it. Okay, oh, well, hopefully it's going to be okay, right? Usually is. And Chris and I were talking. I was like, hey, there's an opportunity. Let's cross-reference our last 10 proposals. make sure that X, Y, and Z are in there. Is it all basically it's a checks and balances.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic, right? Again, just something that kind of gut checks us because through the hustle and bustle of everything, life gets busy, you forget things drop to the wayside, whatever it may be. But I would say the overall theme here, Roop, I almost called you Chris, Roop,
Oy.
is just thinking that Chris should be here. It comes to efficiencies.
Yeah.
And I mean, it really, our people can do a lot of work in a really decent amount of time that's still really great quality work. Of course, we're gut checking ourselves. We're still collaborating as humans. But God, there's just so many awesome ways for you and your teams to be using it. A few examples here. There's some, reach out. There's some great technology partners that we have that have really leaned into AI. Mm-hmm. It's not as much as what we do, but it's just, there's a social company called Cloop. And CLEUP. I came across these people. I'm actually have a call with them coming soon. This is a magnet recommendation, and it's evaluating human sentiment through AI and better engaging people through social media. Fantastic.
Love it.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of really cool things out there. I was at a magnet presentation in Nashville earlier this year, and it's this great agency out of New Jersey, and they've really leaned in heavily. And they've evaluated hundreds of tech partners that have great AI capabilities that, again, are cost effective and that just make it better for you, Mr. or Mrs. Client. So there's a lot of options out there. Overall state of AI, it's going to be interesting here in the next 6 months. It's interesting to see how people are using this information. Again, I take it with a grain of salt. I'm always fact checking.
I feel like there's going to be two sides to AI in the next year.
Okay.
We're not predicting.
No, we're not predicting, but you kind of
But I feel like I kind of see it heading that way. There's going to be the business applications to AI, which I think are going to be a lot more buttoned up. And I'm not going to say 100% trustworthy, but like you're smart enough to use the tool and understand what's good and what's bad. We know that now. We vet what we get back. Then I think there's going to be the common man or the personal use of it. And heaven help us, that's going to be some bad stuff, I think. Like, the ability to fake voices and images and video and all that, that's
crazy.
nothing. That's nothing we're trying to do, but that's what the common man, the bad actors they call them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I think there's going to be kind of when people think about AI, it's like, oh, AI's bad, AI's bad. It's a great work tool. I think the bad part comes from when it's kind of outside work and people are using it for, let's call it naughty things.
Yeah, naughty things. Wow, what a way to end it. If you have thoughts, reach out to us. We're always talking about this. What do you and Claudia have every Friday? What do you call it?
We have Roop and Claudia Learn Stuff Time.
Learn Stuff Time.
That's the title, I think.
Yes, it is the title.
And that is like the literal title of the calendar invite. Sometimes it's the two of them. Sometimes Chris is there, and it's literally an opportunity for them to learn. We encourage that here at the agency. We encourage that, to you as a whether a client or prospective client. It's just a great way to round out the week and think through different ways of using technology, partners, or just learning stuff on our own. So,
yeah.
Okay, Roop, thank you very much. Next week is TBD. We will keep you posted on topics.
Hey, he knows who he is if he's listening.
He totally does. In 2 weeks, we're gearing up. We're a month away from Inbound in Boston.
Yeah.
Super pumped. Super, super, super pumped. So we're going to give you an Inbound preview. We're going to talk about what is next is coming out of that. So stay tuned. It'll be great.
Sessions are out.
Sessions are out.
Do you have your sessions?
I just got the app, so that's my to do today.
Okay, clear an hour. It takes a while.
Okay, an hour. That's totally fine. As always, thank you for listening. If you're watching, thank you for watching. We will catch you next week, and until then, we'll see you then.
Adios.
Bye, y'all.
And that's a wrap. We hope you've enjoyed our little chat and found ways to grow your own marketing strategies. Remember to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and follow us on social media @Littlefield Agency.